Hey, everybody, welcome to a special episode of No Vacancy. I'm Glenn Haussman. Thanks for being here. So, at the end of the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference, I rushed to the MARTA, I rushed to the airport, and then I got to do an amazing session talking about what's going on in all things the state of hospitality with our good friends Craig Sullivan and Bruce Ford. And because the market is changing so much, because there are things that we need to know that are constantly in flux, we thought it'd be a great idea to go ahead and do another chapter in this ongoing saga. If you want to catch part one, that'll be available in the show notes below. But let's get going with part two. So let's welcome to the show. First, we got Bruce Ford of Logic Econometrics and Craig Sullivan of CLIC Media. Hey, guys, how are you today?
It's what's the 411, Glenn? I mean, it's Masters weekend. I'm ready to put on my green jacket and settle into the sofa. But we got a show to do.
Oh yeah, we definitely do. And don't tell anyone. But I was on a conference call yesterday where they were talking about the Masters, and I had no clue it was going on. But that's in Augusta, Georgia, right?
See,
aha, aha. I have seen things with Augusta lately, so I was able to put that together. So anyway, guys, a lot is going on, and we're not going to get into this roller coaster ride we're having with declaration here, change of mind there, moving on. Really, we're just starting from a point of we understand there's a point of instability, and it's kind of rocking markets, and it's making hoteliers go a little bit crazy. Bruce Ford, what are you seeing right now with your feet on the ground?
well, demand for hotel rooms has kind of changed. The landscape has changed. We talked a little bit about the rooms that the government would be booking, and we were tracking plus or minus 4% of the room nights that are booked each night, our government business. But now we have to talk about the residual business of people who service the government.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah.
And whether that's conventions that are set up for the GSA, whether that's conventions that are set up for security, whether that's conventions that revolve around government business, many of those are going poo-poo, if you will. And that is real, tangible things outside of room nights. That's food and beverage. That's citywide conventions. That's in some cases, the hotel was going to be full for these 3 days. Now we're completely empty.
Right.
And so it has convention, food and beverage, and room night impact. And some cities are so concerned that we're already seeing restaurateurs prematurely give up the goose, if you will, because they just see some of this demand just being so soft.
Ooh, Craig?
Glenn, I take that a step farther and include loss of sales tax across the board.
Yeah.
In a city area,
Occupancy tax, all that stuff. Great point, Craig.
So the occupancy tax, sales tax, let's throw in defense contractor. Okay, so let's look at that soup of.
I don't think that'll be effective.
General Dynamics, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and they're depending on meetings not only with vendors involved in a project, but with government representation. All that's gone now. We've got, we can expand this out from coast to coast with travel advisories from, the EU and various other countries. So, I mean, for instance, the Canadian traveler is the number 2 group in California, and that's going by the wayside. So where are they going? Are they staying in Canada? Are they bypassing the U.S., going to Mexico? I mean, a lot of, the Hawaiians were going to Alaska. That'll probably continue to happen.
Yeah,
but, I think, that Canadian dollar going away is going to be very painful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in Eastern Canada, the states in New England, Massachusetts aside, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine have a very large border with Canada. And the drive-over business from Canada is likely to really, really slow down this summer and could have a really big impact on tourism in New England. So if you were ever thinking about a time to come to New England, where the Canadians are not taking up all the hotel rooms, book your flight to Boston, kids.
Maybe for his birthday,
I
that might
like that.
be.
Bruce, I think that leads us to an interesting point. During COVID and the post-COVID period, we saw this. Americans stayed closer to home. I've been saying very, very often that it's getting very expensive to travel now, and I'm wondering if these series of events that are all happening might actually conspire to help local hoteliers when it comes to making sure the rooms are at least filled during the summer months. How do you see it?
This is a real impact, right? And you know, eh, the director of sales and the sales department has really got to pull out all of the demand models that the hotel goes through, all the types of bookings that they go through, and they got to turn it upside down and realign it because it's really all changed in 2020 through 2024. They had to do this every year, and this year it's another shakeup of what is the business mix for our
Right.
hotel and how are we going to do that. And many people have said from the front of the room, and I've heard this multiple times, that we've got to get local with our hotels again. The local community has got to
Yeah.
support us. They got to pull us back up.
Yeah.
And this is again probably top of mind for many hotel operators. But if you are a hotel operator, it is time to get local or glocal, as they say. I think we coined that one during the pandemic.
Well, it's better than bleisure. So
Yes, I
I
agree.
the global credit on that one. Bruce, you're right. I'm out there on the road, fortunately, seeming every single week, telling groups you got to get back to basics. You got to own that neighborhood. You need to be involved with local government to make sure that you're always on top of mind, no matter what within your community. Craig?
I agree. And, our hoteliers could definitely do a better job. You've got, local elections coming up in some areas. So invite your councilman or your dog catcher or somebody else to have their fundraiser at your hotel. You've got
Find
to
those charities and donate room nights
Yep.
and get people back at your hotel. Find those charity auctions and get back interested in participating in those, attending, but also giving. It's the time to do that to get the local people back coming through your building again.
Great idea, Bruce. And I'm also on the board for the Bowman Post Group charities, and they are taking in room nights and auctioning them off. So it's all donations, and if you want any further information, you can contact me directly.
Awesome. That's great. I also just heard about, I don't know if someone was hypothesizing about this or was done kind of an app so you can rent meeting rooms and stuff like that. So, if that Hampton's got a little meeting room and I need a last minute space, I could just book it. I love incremental revenue. It's why I love working with those guys at Squeeze, where you could pay extra, squeeze into a table or on the golf course or something like that. And we need to think about how we could find more income in different and unique ways where people are willing to pay to kind of help supplement what's going on. Bruce, I want to move it along. Pipeline. I mean, how's it been? And is it going to be weaker?
Well, so we reported at the end of the fourth quarter that the pipeline had reached a record
That's what I thought.
project
Yeah.
count. And that project count, again, is higher than we've ever reported before. Not just a cyclical high for this time in the cycle, but higher than we've reported before. But the average size of the projects are down about 12 rooms from the last peak. So it's not yet going to come through the pipeline, this mass wave of cancellations or postponements. That will take a couple quarters to occur. But my take is that the investments in hotels are very active. We came back from conferences early in the year, and our take was nobody's going to sit on their hands this year.
Well, you can't.
People are going to be active. They're looking for return on investment. And so the activity sometimes comes through signing new projects. Sometimes it comes through being a seller and a buyer. Sometimes it comes through selling a few to save the herd, if you will, and to then reinvest in the properties that you can to gain the refinancing that you need. Financing is out there for for properties that have cash flow. Financing is out there, okay? And you should have been acting on it, okay? You don't want to sit on your hands on that. We're seeing financing get announced every day, but also I've seen more hotels for sale than I've seen in 5 years. That doesn't mean they've all sold yet, okay? But the amount of
Dude,
hotel listings that you see in your email these days has grown tremendously.
it's insane, but I'm wondering how many of them have just been out there for a long time, hoping to get a price that may be unrealistic to the buy side.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that wants to buy an upper mid-scale hotel for 130,000 a room, I can send you 300 listings.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those. And I mean, a
Right.
70-unit property that's going to sell
Right.
for $7 million
Yeah.
bucks.
I'd like
It's a
your
mid-scale
discounted.
hotel. I
Yeah,
don't
can I get your discounted irreplaceable asset list, Bruce? Do you have one of those?
I don't. I don't. But irreplaceable, magnificent condition,
Yeah.
exceptional bookings. Those words are back. The superlative nation is out in full force.
Listen, I'm going to be doing some content with the good folks over at the Royal Sonesta on Bourbon Street next week.
Oh,
That is one of those irreplaceable assets.
Somebody's going
right?
to a hoa.
Yes.
So, Glenn, right outside the door of the Royal Sonesta,
Yeah.
not more than 100 feet down Bourbon
Mhm.
Street is
Yeah.
the best buck of shuck you're ever going to come across.
All right.
Oysters the size of your hand, brother.
I know. I love doing the oysters and the fried gator and all the most amazing food. But what I don't like is shakiness in getting new hotels open, Bruce. And while that's great news for current operators who don't want more competition, how do you think it's going to really start to shake out as investors are dealing with uncertainty within the marketplace?
Well, I think part of the reason, well, it's one of maybe 100 if you had truth serum out here, but one of the reasons that we're going through this economic situation right now is because the majority wants to see the interest rates come down.
Right.
And they think that this might be a way to get the Fed to act. I'm
Mhm.
not sure, okay, but we're going to have negative GDP pretty
Mhm.
soon, if
Right.
not for the full first quarter, at least the last month of the quarter, I think.
Yeah. Craig?
I think it's very interesting right now. A couple of things you can do and lessons from the past and other financial, mishaps that we've had. Quietly acquire land. Quietly get the entitlements done and be ready to be the first one out of the ground when things are on construction.
Yeah.
I'm looking at several sites right now
Mhm.
that are very interesting. Now, I wouldn't break ground. Let's just say for the sake of this conversation that everything's fully entitled and ready to go.
Right.
I'm not going to break ground for at least 24 months.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm going to hold that property. I'm going to see what the pricing is going to be on materials. The other thing that, all three of us have discussed in the past, skilled labor. Every state in the union has had some sort of natural disaster. Now we're throwing economic nonsense on top of it. You've got crews that have moved to Florida, the Carolinas, Texas, various other states. Cost of living is half what it is in New York or California. So now you have to import people. That's an additional cost. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I think follow the office market in San Francisco right now. Okay, you've had a lot of major signings. Don't care about Meta giving up 3 office spaces in the Bay Area. Really don't. They've got a campus. A lot of those people absorbed there. But you've got a lot of AI that has started to migrate to San Francisco for past 12 months, if not longer, and that number's getting bigger. Okay, part of the problem has also been travel from Asia Pacific, and that market was off by 40% prior to COVID numbers. So I think there's some opportunities out there. I think Bruce is right. If your property's cash flowing, now is the time to get that refi done, or at least start looking at it. And Insurance is another issue that's going to be thrown on top of it.
Oh, yeah, forget about that. That's a whole other conversation.
Is that going to be episode 3?
It might be. Yeah.
So I got another one to throw on the table.
Yep.
Have we heard if the ports are frozen yet?
Not
People
not
leaving
sure.
things at the port because they're not sure what to pay on the duty, or is it being stopped from actually entering the country?
Haven't heard any of that.
Haven't heard any of that
yet. Anything being stopped from entering the country. And I'm not seeing any ships lining up from the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles down to Orange County like we did when we had the longshoremen strike. It took months, by the way, to recover from. They were still stretched down into Huntington Beach. So that's coming. But the thing that concerns me more is the markets and contraction. Some of these companies, they're running really razor thin on their margin.
Yep.
And it's, with price increases on aluminum, steel, various other things, those margins are going to evaporate. Those companies evaporate.
So that's the mid-size or the large company, but you even look at the small company, it's in your breakfast sandwich and your cup of coffee from your local coffee shop.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden their coffee is 75% more cost. How are they going to pass that on? You're already paying $7.50 for a nice latte. You be willing to pay 12.5?
No.
Well, and Bruce, that's a great point. And we only have one state in the union that is capable of growing coffee.
Yeah.
And that's Hawaii. Yeah. And that's on a very limited, supply.
Well, they also have that stupid Jones Act rule that prevents anything from being reasonably priced coming and going from there as well.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
I'm glad they thought all this through.
Yeah.
That's my 411 for your Friday.
Yeah, exactly. But the good news is people out there are smart. They're flexible. They know how to get things done. In the meantime, while we're in this kind of middle zone, Craig, I mean, what are you talking to some of your clients and peers about on how to handle now while preparing for whatever the new rules of the game are going to be at some point?
Some of them are actually looking at brand conversions right now. They've got PIPs coming in that are astronomical.
Yeah.
And that's also affecting their values. I mean, now, if it's a hotel that's cash flowing, let's say in Anaheim, okay, you're going to be able to get the money for that. There's no doubt about it. Bruce made that point earlier. They're also, they're looking at trying to get a reduction on their real estate taxes, with values crashing in some areas. So that's part of the programming as well.
Right.
Still got a good divide between buyer and seller. That's why we've got 3,000, listings out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
As start seeing contraction in the market and a few other things, you're gonna see that gap close. Some of your other hoteliers are already jumping on board with getting that local stay. My scenario: small beach house, brother and sister. Sister's got husband and 2 kids. They're not staying here. Okay, don't have the infrastructure. I use the hotel down the street. Is that 3rd and 4th bedroom. All right. So you're starting to see that. Your DOS is going to be critical right now. They have got to talk to everybody in the area. They've got to have touch points. Some of them are, unveiling new rooftop, renovations and a few things like that. And they're inviting everybody. Spend a few dollars there on food and beverage. Then you're thinking of them hey, let me put the relative up, over there. So I think you're going to be very creative. We've got, I think we've got a county fair area in Orange County, and looking at their schedule, there should be a lot of room stays just based on that. Okay, so look at some of these ancillary things. Look at the hockey rink and the venue for entertainment over at the Great Park. Now,
Yep.
granted, there's not a lot over at the Great Park yet. There hasn't been, okay? But there's a generation of room nights there as well. Look outside the box. Start looking around at some of the other communities. The bigger, NAM and some of the others that have already blown into town, the health food industry. Okay, that's come and gone for the year. So where are you going to pick up room stays? You got to start looking at those smaller groups. We've got hotels in North Orange County that are coastal, that are a very easy drive into Long Beach and that convention center. Look what's going on there as well. You've got to have that overlap from market to market to increase, your overnight stays. That's what.
I'm excited to try and I'm actually doing a holiday weekend in Las Vegas coming up next weekend. I'm excited to see how that's gonna play out. I mean, I don't. It's not going to be a big convention time, and I'm going to be there Thursday to Monday.
You're going to an event, right?
Yeah. We're going to see. I mean, I can't wait for my $20 Starbucks. I'm excited. I'm excited to experience it all.
I have noticed I've noticed the average cup of regular coffee at a traditional hotel is now about $5, give or take. Yeah.
But you're platinum, diamond, titanium, Chairman Club with all of the brands, right, Glenn?
No, just like one or two. Yeah. But it would be nice if it was.
You're so modest.
Hey, brand people, if you'd like to give me that, I'd be honored to
serve. He'd be honored to serve.
Glenn, they already have a picture of you behind the front desk, so they know when you arrive who you are.
And somehow they still let me in. Guys, quick plug time. Craig, how about yourself?
Hey, Glenn and I will both be at Meet the Money in May, so join us there for interviews and one of the best hotel conferences in the nation. So looking forward to that. Got a couple of speaking engagements coming up. One in Long Beach at a commercial real estate and lending conference. So I will be there. We've got new shows for CLIC Connect dropping. We had a name change. We're now CLIC Media. And there's a lot going on. Plus a new Friday night audit tonight.
Yeah.
Doubled up, aren't you, Craig?
We got the incredible Bruce Jordan on, the Michael Jordan of hospitality on, and we're going to talk more about our hotel pet peeves and try to work out some of our brackets and stuff like that, or at least come up with our final 16. Bruce, plug yourself.
So coming soon, first quarter releases from Lodging Econometrics, going all the way around the world, talking about pipeline and transactions.
Nice.
I will be on the road the week of May 5 in Las Vegas, on stage Wednesday, May 7 at 11 a.m. at Hospitality Design. So between now and then, you can find us at lodgingeconometrics.com, and we will be putting out some content related to kind of the change in the pipeline coming up in about 10 days.
Excellent. That is fantastic. Hey, next week I'll be at the official podcast of HoCon 2025. Come by the No Vacancy studio, say hello to me, or find me out there on the convention floor shooting great content you'll see right here. But make sure that you are subscribed. I'll be at Meet the Money with Craig. I'm going to be I'll be at Memphis in May. I'm officially going to be part of a pit crew, so I'm excited to smoke some meats with some real professionals instead of having to do this amateur stuff I do over here at the Haussman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse. But most importantly, be sure to download our shows wherever you get your podcasts. Find me on LinkedIn. Love for you to connect with me there. And our repository of shows is at novacancynews.com. And everybody, once again, thanks for watching. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And we'll see you here another time. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Bye. Hasta luego.